Let them eat cake.
Who took the bomb?
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Good morning, peasants. Welcome to the episode. Good morning, peasants. Welcome to the episode of The Peasant's Perspective. I just wanted to throw Ron off there for a second. He's over there complaining about a sore throat. It's like, oh, we'll start this off. All right. Welcome, nobody. What's going on, Ron? Is the stream live?
Yeah, we got one person showing up.
It might be you. I don't know. It might just be you watching the show.
It might be.
Well, that's what you get for being 45 seconds late. That's, everybody's ready to go right on the dot. 6:30 a.m. Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. Pacific time till we run out of stuff.
Maybe we're not shadow banned anymore. Maybe we're just full banned.
Just full on banned. Yeah. You know what's crazy is the Take Back My County episodes get more views. Like, there's like 5 followers over there. Please, everybody go over and follow Take Back My County on Rumble. It's one of our channels. And we have like 5 followers over there, right? But we're getting like hundreds of views on the videos with like no followers. I'm like, man, if I could just get everybody that's subscribed to this channel to watch the show once a day, just check in for 5 minutes. It would totally juice our numbers. Pony Boy, good morning. Glad you made it. So glad you're here. You're the only one. It's just you in the house this morning.
Yeah, I'm not
Pony
sure.
Boy, we're live. We'll do it live. We're channeling a little Bill O'Reilly this morning. All right. Well, I know why Pony Boy showed up bright and early. He showed up for the simultaneous sip. Oh, man, everybody's going to be so sad they missed it. And he's here for why? The simultaneous sip. And all he needs is a cup or a mug or a glass, a tankard, a chalice, a stein, a canteen, jug or flask, a vessel of any kind, although I have a feeling he's probably got a water bottle this morning. Fill it with your favorite liquid. I like coffee. And join me now for the unparalleled pleasure of the dopamine hit of the day, the thing that makes everything better. It's the simultaneous sip, and it starts right now. The sound. Sometimes I'm just not Johnny on the spot here. All right, that's okay. We'll get the sound fixed and we'll hear a little bit from our favorite president.
Sip again, you sippers.
Joe Biden.
I think the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. We have put together.
Joe Biden was such a klutz. He couldn't say anything straight. Oh, I bet you he had staff members sitting in the background just like, does he know what he said?
That's the quiet part, bro.
That's the quiet part out loud. You're not supposed to say that. Carlitos, good morning. Glad you made it. So glad you're here. Okay, Ron. My wife last night asked me, she goes, Taylor, what's going on in Iran? You know what my answer was? I got no freaking clue, man. Iran every day. Good morning, Douglas Wyatt. Good morning, peasants. Glad you made it. So Iran, what is going on in Iran?
I don't know. Are we blowing stuff up yet?
Well, I mean, we keep shooting missiles back and forth with Iran, but then, allegedly we're talking. So okay. I don't know. I mean, talking while throwing punches, I guess. It's kind of one of those weird deals. So apparently in Trump's super busy schedule, yesterday he had a chance to do an interview with Miranda Devine. Now, do you remember yesterday we talked about how Trump was cursing out Netanyahu on the phone?
Yeah.
So that reporting came through Axios. And of course, we don't have a transcript, so we don't know if that was really said. It could have been some buzz just to kind of create, something to talk about, right?
With your little thing you were saying earlier, it's like Donald Trump and Iran we're in this fight, right? And while we're fighting, we're back and forth. We're like, boom, boom, throwing punches. Bibi Netanyahu is like the ref over there, like, hey, you guys, hey,
yeah,
don't do, you can't do it like that. Hey.
I think Trump's the ref. I don't think Bibi's the ref. I think Trump's the ref.
Maybe I got the parties wrong, but
he's
that's
blowing whistles all over the flag. So he did this interview with Miranda Devine, and she asked him point blank, did you curse out Netanyahu?
Which you were angry with him. You said, are you effing crazy? What are you effing doing? I helped you stay out of jail. Is that true? Did you speak to him in those terms?
I did. I wouldn't say angry. I was a little bit perturbed at his constantly fighting with Lebanon. You know, at some point I said, "Bibi, we got to stop this. We got to stop it." But I have a very good relationship. We've done well together. He always says, we could never have done it, but everybody knows that we could have never done it without the United States. But I've worked very well together. I like Bibi a lot, and I've worked very well with him. We had I'm a wartime president. He's a wartime prime minister, very important part of the world, and I think we've done very well. We've gotten along very well together.
So yeah, I did. It's like I love how the president just sits there and he's they just got to stop killing the Lebanese. I mean, he just keeps fighting with them. He's acting like a ref where it's like, hey, separate the benches. This is getting ridiculous. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but did you know that Donald Trump's daughter, Tiffany, married a Lebanese man?
No.
Son of a Lebanese gigamillionaire.
I didn't know he had a daughter named Tiffany. I'm sorry.
Dude, come on. That's the whole Marlon Maples saga.
If you asked me to come up with Marla Maples' name on a game show, good luck.
Good luck. It's not happening. Oh, man. No kidding. So anyways, Tiffany married a Lebanese man who, I assume is Americanized. I don't really know too much in depth, but her father is, a very influential Lebanese businessman. Right. And I think he's been appointed to some diplomatic position somewhere. So Trump has a little bit of a vested interest in both Lebanon and Israel, obviously through his son, Jared Kushner and Ivanka. So I just find that kind of interesting. He really is a man of peace. Like the whole Abraham Accords thing, I think that kind of speaks through his family. You know what I'm saying? Like he can sit down at Thanksgiving and it's probably pretty interesting. Like there's
maybe the son-in-law's like, hey man, can you stop bombing my country?
Yeah, exactly. Hey man, you want to knock this stuff off? It's getting a little rough. So yes, what's going on in Iran? It's very difficult to tell because you've got what Trump says, you have what Iran says through their different media outlets. You have what the media says that Trump says and what Iran says. Right. And then you have what Trey Yanks says. So Trey Yanks seems to be the most on the ground, knows what's going on. And there was some missile fire exchange last night over Kuwait.
Overnight, Iran attacked both Kuwait and Bahrain with drones and missiles. We know several people were injured and significant damage was caused to Kuwait's international airport. CENTCOM released a statement saying that an additional wave of Iranian drones attempting to attack U.S. forces in Kuwait failed to impact intended targets tonight. U.S. Central Command Air Defenses successfully downed multiple drones and ensured no American personnel or assets were harmed. Overnight, Iran attacked both.
So they attacked us again?
So maybe we don't have the details right, but there's stuff flying around.
Yeah, there's stuff flying around, right? Like I think this is the 4th or 5th day in a row where we've woken up and we shot missiles at each other again last night.
Shoot,
but,
I thought we were close to peace.
I thought the deal was on the table with wet ink ready to go, Apparently not. So Andrew Cuomo, former governor of New York and failed mayoral candidate for mayor of New York City. He's from a political family, right? Obviously his father, Mario Cuomo, was a governor. So I appreciate guys like this. They're kind of drunk on power, right? I mean, drunk on power. He's obviously got gropey hands. He's got the nursing home scandal during COVID. So
yeah, I was going to call him a name, but let's keep going.
We have a great clip from season 1 where Andrew Cuomo's like, you don't get to do that. Take your shot and stay in your house. And you were like, screw you, man. Great clip. You could go find it on like the old archives and stuff. Anyways, I always remember that because Andrew Cuomo's like, that's not right. Sheriff can't enforce the law. He has to do what I say. And you're like, screw you. So anyways, the only reason I'm playing this clip with Andrew Cuomo is he's very politically savvy. This guy had presidential ambitions, absolutely groomed his whole life to be an executive politician. And so he's got a very good political take. Whether you agree with his politics or not, he understands how power works and how to use it. And he was on I think he's a total dirtbag. I will probably agree with him. Yeah.
He
was on the Pulse of the People, and he was talking about if Trump gets a peace deal, and it includes Iran not having a nuclear weapon, you have to take your hat off to them.
Iran. The president is holding the snake by the head. The problem is, how do you drop the snake without getting bit? I believe the president wants a peace deal. I believe he understands the politics. He understands the midterms are coming up. He understands the price of gas. He has done a lot of damage to Iran. The key is no nuclear capacity, no enriched uranium, no centrifuge. Iran is recalcitrant on that.
Yep.
And they're holding us by the Strait of Hormuz, which, Stephen, I have to tell you, I don't know how we didn't see that coming. The Strait of Hormuz is like the jugular vein for the global economy. And it was right in their backyard. And you can hit it with a $20,000 drone.
Mm-hmm.
So they have us by the Strait of Hormuz. The president needs that open. He needs a way out, but he can't come home with a deal that he can't sell. And I believe the deal has to have no nuclear capacity. And if he gets that, God bless him. Because for 30 years, we've been hearing about Iran and what they can do when they're going to have a nuclear weapon. If he accomplishes that, that's a great victory for America. I don't care, Republican, Democrat, Independent, what he is.
Right.
Boy from Queens. But that's what he has to accomplish. And I think it's tough because I think Iran will win the economic war of attrition because they're zealots. And it's not a democracy. And they can hold fast longer, and that's what they're banking on. Iran.
For those of you that have been listening for a while,
Wow.
the long-term peasants, you'll remember way back when we were in your old office, we did an episode and we talked about ideological extremism and religious extremism, and how when you have a religious belief system that, you know, takes you to the suicide bomber route, right? There's no logic there. There's no rational actors. There's no like, hey, if we do this, then they'll logically do that. The variables get all skewed because you can't calculate how much somebody wants to go meet his 70 virgins in heaven. You can't calculate how much somebody wants to go be embraced in the arms of Jesus at the end of the ball of light, right? You can't calculate that. And when people are willing to go the martyrs route, that's what he's saying there. He's like, well, they can just sit and hold. They can just sit and wait. They, you know, Afghanistan used to say this to us all the time. Well, you might have the bombs, but we have the time. Right? Like we live here. We're not going anywhere. Like we can wait you guys out. You guys will eventually spend yourself to nothing, and we just have to survive. And that's kind of where Iran's at.
And also there are people that are willing to die for their cause.
That's it, right? They're willing to die for the cause. You cannot calculate how far a zealot will go that's driven by a religious ideology. And it doesn't matter the source of the religion. I mean, there's been Christian zealots, there's been Jewish zealots. I mean, go listen to the Maccabees, right? You think the Romans were super excited about doing that whole thing?
Yeah,
right?
I know a lot of people, you know, you hear about people, you know, where the kids, they put the vests on them and then they send them off to go do stuff, you know, like blow up whoever. But a lot of those dudes will put the vests on themselves.
Yes.
Ugh.
So it's very difficult to calculate. And Andrew Cuomo says Trump understands all this, right? But it's like he said, he's got the snake, but how do you drop it without getting bit?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, what can you bomb? Some bridges. Now you're hurting the people of Iran who are victims in all of this themselves.
Right.
You can sanction some more stuff. What's left to sanction at a certain point? Right. You're in this critical spot. Now, Andrew said something. He says they can't have a nuclear weapon. So the more I understand the true essence of money, and for example, Bitcoin, and how all money is based on energy, right? It's a store of energy. When it was gold, you had to have excess energy to farm, to have excess food, which then leads to the miner being fed in order to go mine the gold that then stores that transferred energy to the next guy, to the next guy, to the next guy. There is still gold out there that was mined 5,000 years ago that's made its way into 50 different coin molds over the years. It's still storing that excess energy from 5 millennia ago. You know what I'm saying? And
it gets regurgitated and reused. So that ability to store energy. So when we're talking nuclear weapons, there's a byproduct of having nuclear weapons. For us, the Americans, first came the bomb, then came the power plant. Right? And nuclear energy is as close to free energy as you're going to get. It's not cheap to stand up a nuclear power plant, but once that thing's up and running, the amount of energy it produces far exceeds the energy that went in to build it. Yep.
It is a energy producing nuclear power plant.
It's a net plus, whatever.
Then I'm like, it's literally a power plant.
However you want to look at it, it's a net plus.
It's a huge net plus. So when we're talking about the future of money, you've heard Elon Musk say this, all money is just energy. Okay. And we're coming on to the age of AI, which requires what? A lot of energy.
Yep.
And so the new currency, as it has always been, is going to be energy. For the last century, we've run on the petrodollar in one form or another, right? Our gold was basically just used to buy oil, and then we switched to the petrodollar, where we use our fake dollars to buy oil, and we enforce it with our bombs, bullets, tanks, and aircraft carriers, right?
Yep.
And so Iran was one of the largest sovereign holders of Bitcoin, okay? And one of the reasons for that was because they had very cheap energy production at the state level. For $1,700 of energy, they could produce a Bitcoin, $75,000 to $125,000. That's almost as good as running the printer.
That's a pretty good return.
That's a pretty good return. That's almost as good as running the printing press.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. And so by saying you can never have nuclear capacity, it's both okay, well, maybe Iran isn't going to use the bomb. That's the rational actor thinking. I think the consensus belief is they would use the bomb on all their neighbors. Okay. So that right there, it's a red line, can't cross it. They can't have the bomb. It's too big of a threat. But in addition to that, you can't have nuclear power plants. That cuts them off from the ability to have that free money, so to speak.
And I think that is really what is going on here. I don't think it's really about the bomb. I think the bomb is the red herring, like, oh, they're going to have a bomb. Well, maybe that's one of their goals, but maybe their goal the whole time was energy.
That's it.
Hello.
When you see the world through that lens, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Now you throw in the zealotry and the guy that's launching the drones into the Strait of Hormuz, or driving one of those attack boats, or, sitting in a freaking sagebush blind with a sniper scope. Those guys are zealots. They'll die for the cause. They might not know the bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it is what it is. So I think that is kind of the overriding theme here, is the world is being realigned around energy production, which you can clearly see Donald Trump's doing that. We're pumping, we're selling, we're taking over Venezuela. Right?
Yeah. And don't you dare get off the petrodollar.
Yeah. Remember, all these themes run together. When it comes to control of the people, that's power. When it comes to control of the resources, oil, gold mines, that's power. When it comes to control of energy production, that's power. Like all of these things. And then, the people is elections. So when we start talking about power and the accumulation of power, imagine if you were Iran or Venezuela, who not only has natural resources that produce energy, but then you can also manipulate people through the ballot box or the Dominion voting machines. You know what I mean? That is an incredible amount of power that they have, and it has to be taken away from them.
Yes.
Donald Trump posted this. He said, fake news reports that the Islamic Republic of Iran and the USA stopped speaking a few days ago are false and erroneous. We're just shooting missiles at each other. Like, we're still talking. The conversations between us have been going on continuously, including 4 days ago, 3 days ago, 2 days ago, and 1 day ago. Okay. And today. Where they lead, one never knows. But as I told Iran, it's time one way or another for you to make a deal. You've been doing this for 47 years. It cannot be allowed to go any longer. President Donald J. Trump. So maybe we'll wake up tomorrow and there'll be a peace deal.
Yeah.
We're like just day to day. This came up in a couple Senate hearings yesterday, where senators, and we're not going to play these clips, but we're criticizing Marco Rubio. It was mostly Cory Booker. We're on, we're off, we're on, we're off. Every day we're got peace deal, yet we're still launching missiles. And Marco Rubio's like, and? I'm like, so? Anyways, pray the Rosary Daily. Happy Wednesday. Glad you made it. For Razor, it's Wednesday, the swing state of work in the swing state of the work week. Okay. Yeah. All right. For Razor, otherwise known as the filibuster between Monday and Friday. Okay. Wednesday, the longest day. Is that how it goes?
It's just hump day. It's the day in between.
It's hump day. It's the day. Thanks for explaining that to me, Ron. I was unaware that Wednesday was hump day. It always reminds me of the old Camel cigarette commercials. Hey, it's hump day. It's hump day. All right. So yesterday, the election in California, the primaries started. And why do I say started? Because they drag on forever in California. It's going to be like a whole month of counting ballots and finding ballots and suitcases of ballots and who knows what.
Didn't somebody get 100% yet?
No. But there was the big runoff for the LA mayor's race as well as for governor.
Yeah.
And so let's listen to what NBC said about it.
Remember, the final piece of the puzzle that we won't know tonight, right, is the late arriving vote by mail. And we're talking about probably like a third of the vote in Los Angeles. We're probably not going to be getting until tomorrow and maybe days to come after tomorrow. The mail can still come in after Election Day. And there's indications, and there's certainly a ton of precedent here, that late arriving vote by mail is going to be significantly more Democratic friendly than all of the other vote, meaning that would be good news for Bass. Right. That would be good news for Rahman. If she's going to come out of tonight behind Pratt, it's a huge if, but if she's going to come out of tonight behind Pratt, well, it's not a huge if at this point, she would then have the opportunity, if she's close enough, to catch him with that. But that is a 25,000 vote pad there. 8 percentage points that Pratt has managed to build. Remember, the final piece of the...
All right.
I want people to understand how important fixing elections are and how there are certain things that have happened recently that should give us some hope. Go ahead, Ron.
Can I say something just real quick? Of
course.
It's pretty interesting how these things drag on for days in the midterms, but on, presidential election night, they can call it in 5 minutes.
Well, that's because not every state counts votes for 2 months. I mean, a lot of them, they're done. When they close voting, it's like there's no more ballots to be counted. Okay. Do you remember James O'Keefe went to Skid Row and caught a bunch of people signing up, homeless people, drug addicts, illegal immigrants,
for a couple bucks or a cigarette
to register to vote, and then, put their addresses, the address, harvest the ballots. Somebody has already pled guilty to one of these things, right? Somebody in that group has already been charged and taken a plea deal.
Wow.
The only way you take a plea deal that fast is if you named names. Okay. We got a snitch on our hands. Thank goodness. It's funny. As a normal citizen, I'm like, yeah, snitch. Somebody breaks the law, snitch. Like, go tell Big Daddy about it. Go call the cops. And in prison, though, it's like snitches are the worst. Snitches are gonna die. You can do almost anything, but snitching, that was almost for sure going to get your ass kicked. Well,
because snitching is why most of them are there.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. They hate it.
Damn snitchers.
I had some deep philosophical conversations with a couple of the white supremacists, okay? Because they hate snitches, right? Snitches be getting stitches big time. And one time I was sitting at a picnic table in the yard with this guy that, had done who knows what level of crime and lifelong drug dealing. I mean, rough life, right? Guy dodged a few bullets over the
Sons of Anarchy type dude.
It was bad. I cannot describe to you some of the people that I was in with, right? When I tell you funny nicknames, like, this guy in Philadelphia named Snotty, right? This big black guy, like Snotty, like there's so many just hilarious things. But when I was sitting there at this picnic table with this really hardcore white supremacist, and he's like, snitches don't snitch, don't snitch, snitches get stitches. We got to kill the snitches. This one time I beat up a snitch. Another guy was a snitch, went and talked to the guards without someone there with him. And so I beat him up, and he's just going on and on and on. And snitches. And, I was in a prison with quite a few pedophiles. And I'm like, well, what do you think about snitches who snitch on pedophiles? And he's like, because, that's the other bad thing. Snitches and pedophiles, right? So he's like, well, I'm like, well, if a guy molests a kid, is it bad for the kid to snitch? And he's like, like he couldn't answer the question, like, So then we finally, after this pretty long discussion, and it got heated, like he was pissed at me because he's thinking I'm like a pedophile sympathizer.
Well, you're making him stare himself in the mirror. So
yeah. And finally he comes down to, well, it depends on who you snitch to. So it's like, snitch to the local motorcycle gang and we'll take care of it. You don't need to go snitching to the cops. We'll handle our own problems. I was like, okay, I get it. So anyways, funny stuff there. I don't know why we started talking about snitches. Oh. So they took a plea deal. So someone that was down there registering people to vote, likely illegal voters, right? The whole thing, everything they're doing there is illegal. Yeah. And they've already pled guilty, which means they had to, in that short of a time frame, they had to have named names. They had to have said, I'll tell you the guy who pays me. I'll tell you the guy who pays them. I'll tell you who I give the ballots to. I'll lay out the whole operation. Like, no doubt in my mind, they went into that little interrogation room and just started talking. Okay. So they're talking about ballots coming in over the next 3 weeks, and it's traditionally been a higher turnout for Democrats. Imagine if you're a Democrat operative and you're in charge of making sure all these ghost ballots get delivered. How do you know that these ballots and these names on these ballots aren't being tracked? Did this illegal person, this person who's now pled guilty, did they illegally register them to vote and they're not legal to vote and sent the ballot somewhere that's not their house because they're homeless, voted? If they can track that end to end and show the complete conspiracy actually having happened, that would be huge, right? Like that could bring down the entire California state Democrat Party. It could just totally obliterate them.
I wonder if the ballots and the envelopes and all that had that new tracking stuff that Trump was talking about.
I'd be shocked.
Yeah, I would be.
I'd be shocked at this point because just
I would
days
be
ago,
too. But if it was on there, that might leave a trail.
But it wouldn't be that hard with that person who pled guilty to go through their poll books or, their registration things, find a name, track that ballot, see if it votes. And if they did, they know that ballot did not get delivered to the homeless guy on the street. They know that homeless guy didn't fill it out because they could probably go find the homeless guy if they really, really wanted to. He'd be like, what ballot? There was an election?
P.O. box.
You talking about that guy that won't let us crap on the street anymore? Like, I don't want to vote for him.
You talking about Jimmy Two Toes, the guy I get cigarettes from? Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I remember that. I told him vote blue no matter who. I gave him explicit instructions. So point is, I would be very nervous if I was Democrats in California banking on this mail-in vote, because you've got to have a sneaky suspicion it's part of the biggest voter fraud organization ever built in the history of the world, right? You've got to have a suspicion that there's going to be some eyes on this election. So I'll be really interested to see over the next few weeks, Rob, who ends up, where the vote count actually ends up. So another big vote yesterday was the runoff for governor of California. So Fox News covered this, and I don't know this black man's name, but just pay attention to him because it reminds me of something really funny that we'll talk about right after selection.
Yeah, especially if you know LA County the way you do, the way I do, 51% in. And when you look at this, I mean, this is shocking. That's the only thing I can think of. But Sarah, 29, look at that. Steve Hilton, 215,000 votes in Los Angeles County. That should tell you a lot about how a lot of people feel in the Southland about how things have been going and what they feel like might be the proper way to move forward. I'm gobsmacked by that number. Just for some perspective, let me share again, Orange County. This is what you would anticipate, right? 34 to 23, 16 for Tom Steyer. Steyer doing well, by the way, just north of Los Angeles. Let me take you over to Santa Barbara, 28, 25, 22. But even that is a big win. If you're Steve Hilton, you've got to be loving the fact that you're at 25% up in Santa Barbara County. But here's what I really wanted to draw your attention to, if you'll allow me for just a second. I'm going to take you up to just to Northern California, sort of Central California, up to Sacramento County. Look at this. Now, it's a government town. You know that, Trace. So you would expect that Javier Becerra would do very, very well. Hilton well back, but not as far back as some people might have anticipated. But let me share this. If you go in and around Sac, boy, does Hilton really start to pick up numbers, and it's consistent right there, 36 to 23. Pop over to Nevada. Again, same thing, 33 to 21. It's going to be a very interesting night for Steve Hilton, and I imagine for a lot of people who didn't anticipate he would do as well as he is doing, Trey.
So the Republicans, Steve Pratt and Hilton, did a lot better than expected. Now, with 50% of the vote counted in, 44%, I saw one of the counties was 50-something%. There weren't a lot of, well, no, these are doing it by county. Never mind, forget what I was going to say. I was going to say there's only like 1.2 million people that voted at this point, but that's not right. So they were doing it county by county. Pray the Rosary Daily says, Kevin Cork, great guy. Yes, Kevin Cork is a great guy. And you know who every time we play a clip where he's talking, what it reminds me of?
Huh.
It reminds me of when what's his name here? Dave Chappelle did the weather comedy.
Oh,
No. And I'll tell you something else you probably didn't know. And that is this. This is not my real speaking voice. Bitch up. This is my real speaking voice. Talking straight up gangster, bitch. Big Al, it's out in sales. Okay, Big Al serious.
Big Al, is it Al Croker or whatever his name was, the old weather man? That's what he reminds me of every time. Like, the voice just doesn't match the big black man that's standing in front of me. It doesn't quite get me there. So anyways, pretty interesting stuff. Republicans are definitely surging in California. I hope that Republicans, and we've got a lot of listeners down there, I hope they're encouraged by this. And I hope that you put pressure on your representatives, and especially anybody involved in the election. You've got to look at those ballots, right? You've got to follow through with this story off of Skid Row. That could disqualify a lot of these mail-in ballots. We can hardly comprehend the numbers that this could be, right? If they have a full-time operation that's been operating off-cycle, which means they're doing that in off-cycle years, they're just constantly collecting these people's information. It could be tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 ballots when you really get down to it. I mean, if they're working those Skid Row areas and they're getting person after person after person, it could be huge. So one of the criticisms that came up for Spencer Pratt here in the final stretch was when he was in his 20s, he was a reality TV star, right? Now, a lot of them compared him to the male Kim Kardashian, not because there was a sex tape released, but because they both had parallel reality TV shows going on at one point. And I can't remember who Kim Kardashian was with, but Spencer Pratt was at Viacom, and Viacom canceled his show. So he, lost the show. But I don't
remember what show he was on.
You're not really a reality TV guy, Ron. I would understand if you weren't like a Road Rules kind of watcher.
Was it like a game show or what?
It was just reality TV. It was just like Ron,
like Big Brother or something.
Yeah, like some Survivor mixed in with. I mean, Kim Kardashian, they just follow her around while she puts her makeup on and gossips for the day.
I could not pick out Kim Kardashian from a lineup. I don't even know who she is.
Doug Wyatt says I should never get rid of you because you're like the everyman, right? I totally believe that. Like, I couldn't pick Kim Kardashian.
I know she's a black lady, and I know she dances and sings, but that's all I know about her. I know she's got some TV shows and some kids.
She doesn't dance or sing.
She doesn't?
She models and advocates. That's it.
You know who I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of Beyonce.
Yeah. You're close. You're close.
Sorry.
Anyways, the point of that was Spencer Pratt made a lot of money in his 20s, tens of thousands, millions of dollars.
Really?
And he was criticized because he blew it. So Karen Bass is like, well, if you can't be responsible with your money, how could you be responsible with the city's money?
Everything I ever spent money on, they act like I didn't have it. So yes, I spent all this money. I was also 22, 23 years old, was planning on being Kim Kardashian, rich and famous. So I wasn't hoarding my money like this was my one run at the game. If I didn't get unplugged, which that's the game, like the Kardashians, Comcast stayed with them. Viacom said, oh, this crew's too expensive. So I wasn't wrong and I wasn't right. But that idea, again, that's my money. It wasn't tax money. So if we're going to say he spent 10 million of his own money when he's 23, this lady, Karen Bass, just spent $400 million last year of our money to house allegedly 1,400 people. If we're going to do the who spends more reckless money, and mine wasn't reckless. I had great dinners. I treated a lot of friends. Like I was supporting people. I was funding, rappers, MMA fighters. I had so many people I was taking care of with that money that you go ask them right now, buying my friends suits so they could go try to be real estate. Like I was a very good person to be friends with, like with that money. I'll run it back right now. If this is what's going to stop me from being mayor, like those decisions, I would have done.
Yeah, dude.
Sounds legit to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hope he becomes mayor and we can become friends because apparently he's really good with his money. Probably more generous than Kim Bass.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not even spending her money and she's generous to her friends. But he's dead right. He's like, she spent $400 million on homeless people And this is what they got for it.
God, hearing Spencer Pratt being so passionate about being mayor. Listen, anything's better than Karen Bass. You know what I can tell you what I saw? I live in like a nicer side of town. I drove early morning after driving someone to the airport, came back home. 3 homeless people I saw defecating. Like, not even like privately defecating, pulling down their pants, butthole out to the street, defecating. So you know what? That's a real problem. I feel bad for them. You know, it's like, oh, where do they go? Well, they don't just pull your pants with your butthole to the street. So I'm voting for Spencer Pratt now. Kind of hearing stuff.
I love how she says it like she's doing something naughty.
For Spencer Pratt, y'all. That's the thing. CNN had to air this. They were standing outside of a polling location, and they just interviewed somebody, you know, one of these random people on the street interviews, and this is what they got an earful of.
He's a human person. He lives here. He knows what goes on.
What do you think about Pratt's unconventional approach?
I love it.
What is it that you love about it?
He's another Trump.
He's another Trump. He lives here. He knows about the buttholes facing the street. You know, he knows about the human poop on the sidewalks. Like, he actually lives here. I love it. Anyways, it's kind of funny. They had to air that. And in the governor's race, it was a 3-way runoff. It was between Tom Steyer, Xavier Becerra, and Steve Hilton. Those were the 3 primary candidates. Mm-hmm. I didn't even see Sheriff Bianca on the list. Like, I don't know if he dropped. I don't think he dropped out. I didn't see that anywhere.
Was he the one county that was painted orange?
Maybe. And he's the one that found the extra ballots. Well, he's been iced out of this election. He's like persona non grata.
Yeah.
But Tom Steyer, he also made a run for president last cycle. I don't know if you remember that at all.
No.
So Tom Steyer made a run for president, and his whole thing was on green. Like, he wanted to go green. Climate change was kind of like not quite as bad as Jay Inslee. Okay. But that was like his main focus. And he spent a ton of money, hundreds of millions of his own money on that campaign, and just totally nothing, right? Joe Biden got the nomination. And anyways, now he's running for governor of California, and he's doing the same thing. He's just spreading his money around.
He's got every Latino I know on his payroll. He and there was, I mean, he is just spreading money. He's now
like $200 million.
Well, it's now like $600 million trying to get elected to something, right?
Yeah,
he spent $350 million trying to get elected president. $250 million so far. It's Steyer and Becerra. Becerra is going to be in today. If it's Steyer and Becerra, this is going to be a crazy expensive, one-sided expensive race, because I think there is no limit to what Steyer will spend. If it is Becerra and Hilton, Becerra is the next governor of California.
All right, we have to leave it there.
Steyer, he's got.
I guess we'll see. But that's really interesting. He spent $600 million of his own money trying to get elected to something.
Youch.
Go somewhere where you can win. Like, go be a judge somewhere. Go be a city councilor. Like, if you're going to spend that much money, like, I promise I could win a campaign here in Kitsap County. You know what I'm saying? Like, go make your county great. Spend $5 million, get elected, then dump the other $595 million into your county, make it amazing, and never lose. Right? Like, it seems like such a poor allocation of resources.
Yeah.
If you want to be a king, just go buy a small town, man. Like, you can do it. Do you remember when Joe Biden lost the election?
Yes.
Do you remember how good that felt?
Yes.
I remember so clearly the night in prison.
I'm still feeling it.
Oh yeah. I mean, every day when I wake up and I get to like leave my house, I'm like, I'm not in prison. I remember so clearly that night of the election, because obviously the counting goes into the night, and you know, we're in prison. So we get tucked in by the guards at 9 p.m. We have count. Well, and at 10 o'clock, it's lights out. And at midnight, the TV room closes. So you're not, you know, you can't be up and out and around. You can't. You're not supposed to be.
And where were you at that time? Were you in Missouri?
I was in Missouri. Yep.
Okay. And then what's the time difference? Is it 2 hours from here?
2 hours from here.
Okay. Yep. So midnight, that's about 10 o'clock. That's about when I went to bed.
Yeah. A lot of people did, including Jill Biden. Yeah. So I remember watching the count, and I remember when Trump won Pennsylvania, and at that point it became kind of a fait accompli. And within a couple minutes they announced Trump is the projected winner. And I don't remember what time it was, midnight, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, whatever it was. I went back into my cell, and I was, at that moment, I had another J6er in my cell. I was in a 4-man cell. So I went into the room. He was on the top bunk, and I took my coat and I threw it at him. And I was like, Trump won. He just won Pennsylvania. And he woke up because he couldn't take the drama of watching the count, right? It was just too much on the line.
Yeah.
So he woke up and we hugged each other and probably cried, right? We were like, oh, he won. It's so amazing. It's a very, very good moment. Meanwhile, across the country in the District of Columbia, Joe Biden also woke up to find out the election results.
And my phone rings like 5, 6 in the morning. Did you see the results? And just at that moment, I knew. And I ran into the bedroom and I woke Joe up and I'm like, Joe, why didn't you tell me this? Why didn't you wake me up? And he said, yes, she lost. And I was shocked. I saw the enthusiasm. I was out on the road for her. The excitement. We all
saw the big crowds.
We all saw the bullshit
the ones
polls.
you bust in. Of course they were excited. They were getting paid. Anyways, I just saw that and I thought, oh, what a different night that was for different people.
Yeah.
To me, her husband was holding me in prison over that whole nonsense. He created the largest voter fraud organization in the history of the world, and it didn't come through for them. It didn't come through for them. And one of the big drivers of that voter fraud network, clearly, as we've demonstrated on this show, through open source reporting, I'm not making any personal allegations myself. Please don't cancel me. But one of the big things was the intelligence networks, the CIA, the deep state FBI, the deep state DOJ, the deep state IRS. All of these different entities had a hand in trying to prevent Donald Trump from winning.
And a lot of got exposed.
Operations, between the election fraud, there was a lot of things going on. And the election fraud wasn't just Donald Trump, right? There were down ballot races that were stolen. I'm a big believer that both of the senators out of Arizona were not lawfully elected. I'm a big believer that both of the senators out of Georgia were not lawfully elected. I think there was way too much hanky-panky, right? Way too much. I genuinely believe John Fetterman, though we giggle at his posts and, stuff, I don't believe he was lawfully elected. I think there was just an overwhelming amount of fraud. This doesn't even go to talk about New York or California or Washington State or Oregon, where every single person sitting in a seat may or may not have been lawfully elected, right? So Donald Trump put Polte in charge of the office of the Director of National Intelligence. This is Tulsi Gabbard's position. She leaves in a couple weeks. Polte is going to come in. He's been over at in housing, and he's been a huge bull in a china shop, as Steve Bannon describes him. And so when Polte got the nod to be the acting Director of National Intelligence, this is another one of those things that's setting Wall Street kind of on edge. Because remember, the game plan, and we've revealed this through the reporting that's been done, is the Democrats and the deep state are just holding on, right? They're just trying to wait Trump out. They got 2 more years. If they can just hold, prevent things from coming out, prevent lawsuits, prevent accountability, then they can get right back to their normal shenanigans with a president they can control in 2028. And so with Polte going into ODNI, this is a big, huge concern point. So even John Cornyn, disgraced, almost former senator from Texas, loser, John Cornyn, as well as many others, were all commenting on this Polte nomination.
President just announced it.
My understanding is the Senate doesn't have a role in confirmation of an acting director, but
would you like one?
I see no evidence of any qualifications for that job.
Well, we don't need a weaponized.
You don't need a weaponized DOJ there. He's got, as you all know, a lengthy road ahead of him.
Have 4 more weeks with Director Gabbard as the DNI, and I look forward to implementing last year's Intelligence Authorization Act with her to implement wide-ranging reforms that will shrink the DNI and take it back to its original intent to provide a mere coordinator or process role for the intelligence community. I have no observations on the matter.
He has no observations on the matter of Pulte's appointment. That's Republican Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas, who is the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, dodging that question about the appointment of Bill Pulte. President Trump naming Pulte in an acting role means Pulte will not have to face senators for a confirmation hearing, possibly giving him more freedom to pursue the president's false claims about the 2020 election, among other things. That was something Tulsi Gabbard was focused on before she announced her resignation last month to care for her husband, who has cancer. Mark Parlimeropoulos, let's bring you back into the conversation here. As someone who has served the country for most of his adult life in the CIA, just your thoughts on someone not only who has no experience with intelligence, but also who clearly views his first job as to be loyal to President Trump and to go after his political enemies. He's already shown that in his current job, overseeing now 18 American intelligence agencies.
So I know that our listeners all think this is a hype video, but they're actually upset about this. So you mean he goes after the president's political enemies, and we're back here? Yeah, okay, for the win, right? But no, they're kind of upset about it.
So Willie, when I first heard this, actually, I think I first read it on X. I thought it was a joke. I mean, the housing guy, this is a preposterous appointment, and the kind of what went through the ranks of the former officials like myself and even current ones as well, as this is something that really should be looked at with some alarm. I mean, a weaponized DNI, by the way, not my comment right here, that's from Senate Majority Leader Thune, is something that should scare a lot of Americans. This would be Tulsi Gabbard on steroids and then some. Obviously, this is a political hack. He's made his name for himself in going after Trump's political enemies. And the intelligence community and the intelligence chief, the DNI, has a lot of power, could do a lot of harm. I'd note that it's about 210 days where he can stay in this position. He does not need Senate confirmation, as we know. And so, there is significant concern right here. And I do think of old colleagues in the intelligence community who are looking at this and shaking their heads. And of course, what about our allies overseas who also have great concern over this? Are they going to share intelligence? There's a lot of questions here. One key note, though, and you did run a clip of Senator Cotton, who is the chair of CISI, and he made his points very clear there. He wants to see a Office of DNI that shrunk, perhaps back to its original intent back in 2005. And so it'll be interesting to see if he works with Pulte to do so, and that would kind of fall in the line of what Cotton wants. Cotton clearly is not thrilled with this appointment, but perhaps he can work for him. The best case scenario is that's what this appointment means. Worst case of.
So the criticism of Pulte has two strands. One is he's not qualified. He has no background experience. This is going to be the Republican tack. If a Republican is like, Pulte is not qualified to be the director of national intelligence, they're deep state. Yeah. They're deep state. They deep state's got something on them. They're deep state, right? Because the reality is he's an administrator, right? He's a real administrator. Yeah. He's also extremely loyal to the president. At least thus far, he's proven to be extremely loyal to the president. And he did go like a bull into the china shop, into the mortgage stuff, applied AI, found a couple people that needed criminal referrals, and that caused all kinds of problems, right? The governor of the chair of the Federal Reserve, Lisa Cook, mortgage fraudster, the attorney general of New York, a mortgage fraudster, the senator from California, Adam Schiff, a mortgage fraudster, right? Plain as day. And the DOJ had to pull out all kinds of stops to prevent those criminal referrals from being pursued. Okay. Think about that for a second. They presented the fraud, right? Showed it to us on recorded documents. Other people went down to the county and state websites, downloaded those documents, confirming that, yeah, they're real.
Yeah.
And nothing's happened.
This guy's really making our life inconvenient. We can't have this.
We can't have this. I mean, that was just mortgages. Imagine if he gets access to the NSA. We're screwed. Okay. So Steve Bannon addressed this.
By the way, it's Tuesday, 2 June, year of our Lord 2026. Welcome to the afternoon or early evening edition of the War Room. Joe Allen's going to join me. He's actually in the War Room today. We're going to talk about this executive order for artificial intelligence. However, I have to tell you something. If the intelligence community was interested in delivering a better product or having the intelligence and the actual items coming out of intelligence being better, they would have made fundamental changes, because I don't know, and forget even 9/11 and the mistakes in the weapons of mass destruction and the Iraq war and Afghanistan. Let's put all that aside. Let's talk about Ukraine, the attack on 7 October in Gaza, then the Gaza war, the Israelis, the Iran war, the miscalculation that the CIA had about the bombing, strategic bombing, leading to a mass revolt of the people. They have missed on everything. I can go on about the CCP. We can talk about how they've underestimated what they were doing, all the political machinations they're making all the way from the Western Pacific all the way back into the United States. on our border, and then look at everything internationally. The CIA has botched. An absolute epic fail. Are they making any changes? Do they want to make any changes over there? No, they reject any director that goes over there. They're not interested. Here's why it's more important than ever. At 5:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the United States of America, and particularly in the imperial capital, Bill Pulte has got to be DNI. Wild Bill Pulte has got to look at this meltdown. I have not seen a meltdown like this in a while. You know why? Because they know Pulte is like a bull in a china shop, and he's going to rip through there and start going directly to the president and telling him and leveraging off the work that Tulsi Gabbard did. This is why the hour is late. We are burning daylight. Let's start having throwdowns all around. And hey, this fits right into my throwdown to showdown with Thune. They vapor like Thune, like it was in some precedent. They toss a cotton. Hey, can you say a few words about President's selection of Bill Pulte? Cotton looked like he had swallowed a basket of lemons. Look at right there. That's just a small bit of MSNBC for the whole afternoon. Complete, total vapor lock over Bill Pulte. Brother Pulte, there could not be a better recommendation for your immediate. I hope you're in the office right now doing a transition with Tulsi. Right now. The office is yours. Let's call recess, have a recess appointment. But by the way, acting, I don't know, you can stay there through the midterms. Go through all the files. Go through all of them, sir.
So one of the challenges that politicians have, and I like that, Bill Pulte is going to be like a bull in a china shop. One of the challenges politicians have is they work with a lot of volunteers. Do you know how hard it is to fire a volunteer?
Yeah, I do.
It's hard to fire a volunteer because they're free, right? So you let them screw up over and over and over and over again. So politicians get accustomed to working around a lot of volunteers, a lot of campaign volunteers, party volunteers, and just people that are interested and will donate some time, labor, whatever, money, that kind of thing.
You kind of let a lot go.
Yes, but you don't have executive control, right? Because you're not the boss. And so some politicians, they'll fire campaign staffers, but even campaign staffers get away with a lot because at the end of the day, you're underpaid for what you're doing. And so politicians like Tulsi Gabbard, who was a politician, which I can see very easily, I can conceptualize this. You walk into an organization like ODNI, and you've got all these union employees that are part of the ACL, CIO, or whatever, the Federal Employers Union. Can't just like fire them without cause, but then what rises to the level of cause, blah, 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 blah. So the history of Tulsi Gabbard in that position is she's constantly been kind of cornered off, right? Her little team got smaller and smaller, and people on the team got picked off. We know this from Patrick Burns reporting. And I think a lot of that probably has to do with she didn't come in like a bull in a china shop. She came in like a patriot to try to make some changes and try to get people to buy into the proper ideology and the proper way of doing this. And the deep state did what the deep state does. It isolated her. It put her in a position where, she's basically having to do things herself with a very small team. Bill Pulte, on the other hand, comes from the building industry. And what happens when stuff's not getting done in the building industry?
You got a square peg, round hole. You need a bigger hammer.
Yeah, bigger hammer and you're fired. Like a manager, he's the kind of guy that can come into a housing project that's not doing so hot, fire all the bad subs, hire new subs, get rid of the project manager, get rid of the foreman. He's going to come in and make changes. I have a feeling he's going to bring that mentality here. He's not going to come in, and if somebody gives him resistance, he'll just say, okay, you're fired. You're on desk work. You're in a box now. But, whatever it is, I got to get this done. Next man up. You find the next person. So that could be very, very scary for people that are relying on the deep state, just kind of laying low and making it through and sitting on the file and taking a little bit of extra time and blowing through a deadline. He's going to walk into office, and what is he going to find? Ballots, machines from Puerto Rico. He's going to find a whole bunch of reports that are probably 3/4 of the way done. And he's probably going to go straight to the president and say, this is what I have. And he's probably going to roll some heads and knock some stuff around, which is why they're, even the Republicans are nervous about this.
Perfect for the job.
Perfect for the job. Now, this is going to give rise to another conspiracy, and I'm going to call it here. Trump has already alluded to this, and I believe mostly jokingly about, if I have to cancel the midterms or whatever it is. And if you remember, when Tulsi Gabbard has gone to the House and the Senate, specifically in the Senate, where the senator from Michigan, a former CIA agent, when she was asking Tulsi Gabbard, are you going to promise that you're not going to interfere in the election? Are you going to promise you're not going to, interfere in the election? And Tulsi's asked Kash Patel the same thing. She's asked the DHS director the same thing. Promise not to send troops to the polling places. Promise not to interfere in the election. I can't get a straight answer out of these people. Abby Phillips on CNN mentioned this exact same thing. And depending on how Bill Pulte operates in the first few weeks, this conspiracy could grow legs and get real big. Trump's going to cancel the midterms.
I'm not done.
One last
thing. Hold on.
Wow.
Hold on. Jason, Trump raised the issue of canceling the election. Don't put that on Democrats.
Said he wasn't
hold on, Jason.
Even occur.
Hold on, Jason.
They said that from the beginning.
Just to be clear, the only person who has talked about canceling elections is Donald Trump. He has put that in writing.
True.
And also, and on top of that, what Sochi is talking about is not just supposition. Trump has repeatedly already, before this moment, cast doubt on the upcoming election. So it's not just the past, it's also the present, it's the future. It would be, I think, disingenuous to suggest that he doesn't have that
election in an honest and fair way.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But the president has this on his mind. There's no question about that.
Something that has gotten precious little.
So they're the worst. They're worried Trump's going to cancel the election. And who would be an operative in that? The ODNI, Bill Pulte. God's Army Brat 9444 says Biden lost twice. That is kind of funny. First president to lose 2 times and serve 1 term, and Trump's the first president to win 3 times and serve 2 terms. So Biden lost twice. One was the insurrection. The other you were in prison for the insurrection. Both times Joe and Jill were asleep. Carlene says Pulte sounds perfect for the job, and Frazier says, this is Mom, good show. Oh, thanks, Mom. Okay. So one of the things that the Democrats don't seem to remember is the level of lawfare that was coming after Donald Trump. So Todd Blanche was on Sean Hannity's Hangout. He's got a radio show, a TV show, and a Hangout. It's pretty good, man. We should really up our game here. Anyway, so he was on there and he was being asked by Hannity about essentially the future Trump faced in 2024. Right? It was either the big house or the White House.
He was convicted on 34 federal charges. So is it an accurate statement to say he either wins in 24, wins the White House, it's either the White House or the big house?
Yes. I mean, oh, man. Oh, yeah, absolutely. What don't forget, he had a DC case breathing down his neck.
Right.
The DC case, he had the Florida case, which had been dismissed, but they were appealing it. And then he had a judge in New York who there's no scenario in which he wasn't going to send President Trump to prison. And he didn't after the president won. So the consequences of 2024 for this country are priceless. But for him and his family, also priceless.
It really. This is what Dan Bongino said too. And I think this is why it's important and why I'm spending time with you on this, because there is a grand conspiracy investigation, correct?
Yes, there is. Yes,
that's absolutely well known. And there is a grand jury in Florida, a grand jury, I believe, in one other state as well, right?
Yes. Yep. Yes.
Okay, so this is all being investigated, and it's whether or not a pattern of behavior has taken place to destroy this man, one family, one organization. Is that fair?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I think that's exactly what we're looking at. And also, and again, you do have to show a pattern because some of the events happened in 2015, and so it's now 2026. But that's not hard to do, and prosecutors do that all the time. So I don't want to I don't think a lot of time needs to be spent on that. If you're saying, well, it happened in 2015. That a lot of cases we charge go back 10 years.
So he's kind of implying like it doesn't, statute of limitations, like this was a grand conspiracy. There's very few of these acts that don't connect one to another. So I think that's pretty good. Openly just, oh yeah, definitely a grand conspiracy case happening. But when do we see the indictments? When do we see something from it, right? Like, we could have laid this case out before I went to prison, and we would have probably been pretty accurate. Yeah. So Todd Blanche was also in the Senate yesterday. And do you remember that purple-haired representative from New Hampshire? You know who I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So she grilled Todd Blanche. Now, in very disappointing news, we reported yesterday that the weaponization fund was on hold because of a judge's order, and the DOJ said we're going to comply with the order. Well, Todd Blanche went a step further in the Senate hearing, he said, we're not moving forward with it at all. Like no fund at all. We're not moving forward with it at all. So I don't know if that's quick speak for in that iteration, or if that is him just saying, yeah, we abandoned the whole idea completely. We're not doing that.
Oh boy.
So Donald Trump passed on what could have been a $10 billion settlement with the IRS in order to create the weaponization fund, but the political pressure around it and then a judge's order caused it to be derailed completely. So Todd Blanche mentions that in this response as well. But if you remember, in that whole series of events, they settled the IRS case, created the weaponization fund, and additionally, Todd Blanche signed a document that said that the government and the IRS and the other entities that were all pursuing Donald Trump have dismissed, foreclosed, eliminated, are never going to prosecute Donald Trump and his family for those crimes, whatever those crimes were. Okay. Now, some people are reading this as blanket immunity. Essentially, you've now given the Trump family a pass to do whatever they want forever because you're never going to prosecute them. I didn't read it that way.
I don't read it that way either.
All the issues at hand, all the things that created these investigations and these subpoenas and these warrants and all this nonsense, all of that is being foreclosed. We are not going to reopen these cases. And this was in large part response to the discovery that the Arctic Frost case was ended in such a way that it could be picked up again on January 21st, 2028, right?
Right.
And so here's Todd Blanche going back and forth with our purple-haired monster here.
You want an answer?
Yeah.
Okay, so not yes or no. You gave me 3 documents. The only document I said we're not moving forward on today is the first document identified, which is the anti-weaponization fund. There's still a settlement agreement. And there's still the second document I signed is not an addendum; it's a separate Attorney General order.
Okay. So, but you're not going to rescind the addendum, the second order.
No.
The only thing you're talking about here. So the blanket immunity is not something that you're going to move back on.
It's not blanket immunity. That's not true.
It is.
No, it's not.
Read it. Okay. United States releases, waives, acquits, and forever discharges each of the plaintiffs from and is hereby forever barred and precluded from prosecuting or pursuing any and all claims, counterclaims, causes of actions, appeals, requests for any reliefs. I mean, this is an order from you, but you're not prepared. You are prepared to say that the president and his family will be barred, are immune from. That's a yes.
No, it was not a yes. I had not answered the question. I can't answer if you want me to.
What are you doing with this?
Okay, so there was a settlement, which is one of the documents you showed. Okay. Right. Part of the settlement included the second order that you just held up. Right. And that is still, nothing has changed with that. What I said today, what I've said a couple times today, as what we talked about yesterday, is we're not moving forward with the anti-weaponization fund.
Okay. But you are moving forward with this second order.
It's not moving forward. There's a settlement. There was a settlement that the IRS entered into with President Trump and others, his family and his companies. As part of that settlement, as is customary in IRS settlements, there's a separate AG order.
Friends, listen to what is being said here. Today here. This is really pretty extraordinary. That we are going to forever barred and precluded from examining or prosecuting the president, his sons, and the Trump organization's current tax filings. Simply put, you just gave the president and his family a tax immunity to the tune of about $100 million.
Not true.
Well,
current tax filing, the ones that have been under scrutiny, the ones where they couldn't find a crime but continued an open case for no other reason than the persecution of Donald Trump and his family.
Right.
That's what's been foreclosed on, not next year's tax returns. You know what I mean? I think if the Trump family has learned anything, it's there's a microscope on us, dot your I's, cross your T's. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, it's another one of those just things where it's like, how does this woman get elected? It's like she can't read, she can't comprehend. She's got purple hair. She has 19 different rings on. She's got weird clothes.
Yep.
It's a case study of like, it's got to be election fraud. Like, I've met a couple people from New Hampshire. They don't look like that. They don't act like that.
No, I mean, if we want to dog on people's looks, she looks like she belongs in a, one of those stories that you read to your kids, and the old lady that, here, have a piece of candy.
Yeah, exactly.
Steer away from that old lady.
Exactly. So in other news, the Clarity Act, which is in the Senate's chambers right now, has been placed on, it hasn't been placed on the schedules. It came out of committee, got voted out of committee, and it's been placed on the Senate legislative calendar under General Orders calendar number 423. So what happens now? The next thing is it goes to a floor debate for amendments. So now other members of the Senate that are outside of the committee will have a chance to chime in. If it gets marked up again. I don't know if it'll get marked up again, but then it will go to a floor vote. So we're marching our direction. And something happened yesterday when I saw this. I got a little sus. Ron, you got a Rimble wallet?
I do. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Give you a second. All right. We hear a lot about crypto, but here's a little part most people miss. Crypto was created so you could actually own and control your own money. After the 2008 financial crisis, people remember that? Bitcoin was designed as an alternative to banks. So instead of banks holding your money, delaying transfers, or limiting access, you're in control. And if you've ever had to wait for a transfer to clear, you felt that problem. Now, fast forward to today. Everyone's heard of crypto, but getting started feels complicated. That's why I use Rumble Wallet. It takes all the complexity and makes it simple. Choose what you want: Bitcoin, dollar-backed stablecoins, or even digital gold backed by real gold. No complicated setup. It connects you with MoonPay, so you can use your credit card, debit card, or your bank and be set up and running in minutes. Once you're set up, you can even support your favorite Rumble creators like me directly. So you can do this now. Scan the QR code, click the link in the description, and download the Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set up the wallet, tap buy, and you're in the game. In just a few minutes, you can go from hearing about crypto to actually owning some. Phew.
That's great. Crypto is coming, right?
Oh,
the Clarity Act is on the floor, and whether you like it or not, it's coming. And with it comes a fork in the road. There's a fork in the road because we can either choose a control grid style of crypto, or you can choose freedom through Bitcoin. There's a clear line of demarcation between Bitcoin and all other cryptos. Okay. And it's no more made clear than this letter right here from the Blockchain Association. And this came from 160 leaders of law enforcement from around the country. It was a letter written to Leader Thune and Leader Schumer about the Clarity Act. Now, this is one of those things where it's just like the snitches. You know, when you're on the outside, you want snitches out there. When you're on the inside, you don't want any snitches. So you don't want anybody snitching on you, but you definitely want to snitch on other people, right? Okay. So when it comes to law enforcement, it is one of these double-edged swords, because of course we want law enforcement to keep drunk drivers off the road and keep bums off the street or whatever, but we definitely don't want them invading our privacy, snooping on us, and targeting us. Okay. And so as someone who was targeted by the government because of my involvement in J6, and one of the consequences of that was I got debanked, right? I got debanked. Yep. So it's made me very, very sensitive to the points, the nexuses, the different points in my life where control that is outside of my influence can be exerted. And one of those areas is banking and finance for sure, right? So this letter is written. As former national security intelligence and law enforcement officials, we write in support of advancing the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act, the Clarity Act, and establishing a modern federal framework in the United States for digital asset oversight, counter illicit finance efforts, and cybersecurity coordination. Digital asset activity is growing and rapidly and globally. It is critical for the United States that this activity occurs under American rules, with American oversight, and subject to American law enforcement, or we risk it continuing to migrate offshore into opaque markets and beyond the reach of U.S. investigators. A clear federal framework strengthens U.S. national security by bringing more activity into regulated channels, improving visibility for law enforcement, and giving investigators and prosecutors stronger tools to combat financial crime. The Clarity Act expands law enforcement and financial crime prevention capabilities across the digital asset ecosystem. Among other provisions, the legislation expands the Bank Secrecy Act, I don't like that word, and sanctions compliance obligations to digital commodity brokers, dealers, and exchanges, including anti-money laundering, program requirements, and sanction obligations, creates a Treasury-led information sharing pilot program involving DOJ, FBI, DEA, and private sector entities focused on illicit finance threats and emerging risks. establishes a permanent interagency working group, including Treasury, DOJ, DHS, FBI, DEA, and IRS, and Secret Service, to develop anti-money laundering and counter illicit finance proposals for digital assets. On that, it doesn't make sense to me that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 agencies involved. And they all have their own areas of jurisdiction that all touch money. To me, dude, can we just consolidate some of these? Seriously. Creates anti-fraud safeguards, transaction monitoring requirements, reporting obligations, transaction limits, and dedicated law enforcement points of contact for digital asset kiosks. Expands AML, suspicious activity reporting, customer due diligence and compliance obligations, and certain non-centralized finance trading protocols not consistently covered under existing law today. Clarifies sanctions and compliance expectations for distributed ledger messaging systems and related interfaces through Treasury guidance. Explicitly extends Section 311 special measure authorities to digital asset activity and allows temporary holds on suspicious digital asset transactions, requires law enforcement notification, and reinforces compliance with lawful court orders. So when we're talking about financial sovereignty, okay, financial sovereignty, crypto and that world, Ethereum, Ripple, Dogecoin, all of those are going to clearly fall under essentially a corporatized CBDC type situation.
Framework.
They all have central control. They all have ledgers that can be rewritten.
Yep.
They all have blockchain that can be amended. And that is going to be the tool. What the Clarity Act is going to set up for them is the tool to be able to enforce what we would consider our normal banking rules. Now, again, in a normal world, I mean, I operated most of my life doing just fine with the banks. They held my money. I borrowed, no big deal. But when you become a target, all of a sudden that calculus changes. Look at the Trump family. They had to relocate billions of dollars.
Well, you also start to notice the levers of power that are attached to the money. You start to notice them.
You do
it's
start
not
to
like
notice
they're
them.
new levers or new things. You just start to notice them.
Exactly. Now, when one door closes, another door opens, right? So one thing that's been going on in the United States is we have a huge illegal immigration problem. This might be news to our friends overseas. And so we have a problem. And one of the things that's happened is when someone comes here illegally, if they just get a simple ID card, they can go open a bank account and they kind of have access to the entire financial system.
Yep.
And so unless they specifically get targeted, it's carte blanche. You have an account, you're good to go. So Donald Trump signed an executive order yesterday, and it's kind of a big deal. Illegal immigrants and foreign fraudsters steal billions every year from the American taxpayer. As part of my administration's historic effort to end fraud and reverse mass illegal immigration, I recently signed a powerful new executive order, which will be led by the Treasury Department to stop banks, credit cards, and financial institutions from being used to facilitate human smuggling, drug trafficking, illegal immigration, and the criminal cartels who orchestrate these activities. Access to our nation's financial systems must be limited to those who have a legal right to be here and who are engaged in lawful and legitimate commerce. This is where it becomes a problem for me, because the dairy farmer selling whole milk to his neighbors, that's not lawful, legitimate commerce. Take away his bank account. This happens.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where it's like, that to me sucks. Of course, we want lawful, legitimate commerce. The problem is you guys have overdefined commerce and your ability to regulate it to the point to where you're involved in every aspect of our lives from a central planning perspective. Okay. Legitimate commerce. Bank accounts being used to enable illegal immigration or to store the welfare received by illegal aliens will be shut down, and the funds will ultimately face impoundment and seizure so they can be returned to taxpayers. It is not ludicrous, but profoundly dangerous that any illegal alien can simply present a blue state driver's license or a Biden border document and have unrestricted access to the U.S. financial system. This also sends a clear message to the anti-ICE rioters that your violent disruptions are only strengthening our resolve. My executive order will also allow us to stop billions in leaving our country in all manner of criminal activity. It has been said this measure we are taking is the most effective means of reversing Biden's border invasion. We will soon find out. So as one door closes, another opens. A lot of these illegal immigrants that were shut out of the banking system or will be shut out from the banking system, where are they going to go? Tether, Ethereum. They're going to go to these crypto accounts. They can literally get a VPN, put yourself in a foreign country on the VPN, download an exchange app that's unregulated, and bada boom, you have access to crypto, which gives you access to the financial system through that exchange or whatever the case is. So the Clarity Act will then extend the teeth that we already have on the dollar system into those crypto regulations and prevent that side door that a lot of people are going to try to take. Now, a lot of people are going to be steered into the side door, through incentives, right? Interest on stable coins, potentially, maybe. We'll see how the Clarity Act finally settles out. You're going to see, ease of transactions, better utility of your money, more transparency on these accounts. There's a lot of people who are going to go into the crypto door because it's convenient, because it's the bank offered you a crypto credit card or a crypto account, and
they're going to make it feel like a MasterCard or a debit card.
They're going to make it feel great.
Yep.
Right. They're going to make it feel great. But what you're doing is you're inviting more of the control grid, and that control grid, because of the tokenization of assets, you're going to see things that you never before imagined being able to be tokenized. We've had different people who I've shown clips of where they talk about a singer could tokenize an album. And instead of going to a bank to get a loan to produce the album, make it, distribute it, market it, they can just go to their fans. Taylor Swift can say, I have the Eras Tour token. Come buy some Dogecoins to buy the tokens. And that gives her direct access to funding. So you're going to see all kinds of things be tokenized. We even heard that the likeness and image of actors will be tokenized for their AI, so that you can fund them having an AI avatar that they can then go star in movies using their likeness and image, right? An incredible amount of things are going to be tokenized. And of course, everything that gets tokenized then gets absorbed by that financial monster, and it becomes under their jurisdiction, under their purview, under their regulations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Don't tokenize yourself, kids.
Don't tokenize yourself. Or maybe do tokenize yourself, but keep the money in Bitcoin. So this is Simon Dixon, and he's talking about how more important it is now than ever for people to get involved in Bitcoin, use the network, and use it for what it was meant for, privacy.
Bitcoin is still the most decentralized thing we have. But the rich will get richer. The financial industrial complex will do very well out of Bitcoin. But your job, if you really care about Bitcoin, is we need a community that still believes in what Bitcoin was created and how it was originally designed. We need people running nodes. We need people owning their Bitcoin in self-custody. We need people that aren't borrowing against their Bitcoin through a centralized structure. And we need people that are going to support different types of innovation that allow for privacy on layer 2s, circular economies in the countries that need Bitcoin the most. And so everything I originally set out, when I originally started investing in Bitcoin companies, I invested in BitPesa because they were bringing Bitcoin to Africa. I invested in UnoCoin because they were bringing Bitcoin to India. I invested in RTM that was bringing Bitcoin to Venezuela and Argentina. I invested in Bitso that was bringing Bitcoin to Mexico. They have centralized and created a dependency. And the reason that Bitcoin is not going the way that gold is going right now when it's meant to be going at is because everybody gave a chunk of it over to Wall Street, and they're in the accumulation phase and doing what they essentially did to gold and silver. And so congratulations, it was always going to happen. As we succeed, Wall Street, we're going to co-opt as much of it as they can and accumulate as much of it as they can. And they have every power structure to be able to do it. But we still need to maintain a core community, and we still have that, that is actually going to be deciding, running those nodes and deciding which implementations of the code, of the node code that they're actually running. And we still have that community. And so it's still the most decentralized thing we have. And the reason that I know it will succeed is because I believe the reason that Bitcoin was created in the first place was the same reason that the British Empire created the tax haven islands. It's an escape for elites that still want it as well.
Pay attention to this. The reason, not the reason, but one of the reasons Bitcoin will survive, and there will be a way for you, it's a back door to the control grid, is because the elites are always going to leave the back door open for themselves. Mm-hmm. Just like the British Empire, who created a lockdown financial system for its day, still had the Cayman Islands and Singapore and these other places that were essentially tax havens from the British system. And it was set up by them so the elites could take advantage of it. Bitcoin will be the same way. big banks, sovereign nations are all going to use Bitcoin as their reserves because it's sovereign. Okay. You can choose to do it too.
The rest of you were meant to own Bitcoin in custody, and you were meant to be a gateway drug for getting everybody onto shitcoin, stable coins, and real world assets, which is happening under the Trump administration right now. But elites still want that exit. And our job is to recognize that this is probably the only asset. Not everyone can get a seat on the table when your country goes to shit and end up in Cayman Islands or one of the islands designed, or Singapore designs for the elites. But everybody can get their own little part of Bitcoin in self-custody and run a node and support the network. And so I'm confident we survive. But the mission of taking down the financial industrial complex, no, a chunk of Bitcoin is co-opted into that. And so we are in partnership. And your job is to recognize, do you want to fund death, destruction, war, violence, and fund the proof of weapons network, which is Bitcoin in custody? Or do you want to actually boycott, make the system weaker, and at least have a corner of the world that's working on allowing people to be sovereign? Because the only countries that are going to survive in this multipolar world order and not be vassalized into the FIC are the countries that have sovereign wealth. The companies that don't have VC funding or Wall Street or subordinate to the FIC and have their own Bitcoin strategic reserves independent of these custodial relationships, and the individuals that are able to say F you to the system because they kept Bitcoin in self-custody. I understand it's more complex than that. There's tax incentives, there's financial planning, there's inheritance, all the system is designed to subordinate you to the debt-based Ponzi scheme, mine fiat currency, and end up with Bitcoin in custody. Just like gold. Very few own their gold. Instead, they own an IOU gold with paper claims that essentially allows them to manipulate the price of gold and silver. And that is why they do it. So all this to say is that I still think that Bitcoin will achieve its purpose. It's an exit and a boycott, but very few will do that. And most of you will be useful idiots that will give more power to the financial industrial complex on the wrong side of a margin call, mining fiat currency, while they take your Bitcoin and use it as leverage to destroy your pension, bomb more countries, and you work for transnational capital.
That is as clear a 5-minute explanation as you can hear.
Yep.
Right. So you can have gold. You can just keep it in the bank.
Yeah.
Let them manipulate and hypothecate it. You can have Bitcoin, keep it on an exchange, right? Yeah. There's a lot of amazing things you can do with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to be a huge element of leverage for people going forward. But to understand the principles, the objective here is to keep our sovereignty, right? The strength of the nation will be a direct reflection of the strength of the people. If the nation has sovereign individuals, then the nation itself will remain sovereign, right? The poor you have with you always. These two doors are open. You can go Bitcoin self-custody or you can go crypto control grid. Those doors are open. Yep. Okay. And it's happening. The cattle call is here. People are going to start filing in at some point very, very soon. However, you have a choice here. You have a choice. The objective here is to make your individual choices. The poor ye have with you always, a wise man once said, right? There's no way we're going to arrive at a utopic society where everybody has Bitcoin in self-custody and everybody's got their own gold and silver coins. It's not going to happen. Yeah. It's never happened in the history of the world. We don't want to think and envision some utopia where everybody's needs are met. It's antithetical to reality. The reality is you have to take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your community, take care of your city, take care of your county, take care of your state, take care of your federal government, then worry about the world in that order. Many of us will never get past worrying about our families. Okay. Many of us will never get past worrying about our families. So take the right choice, right? Get involved now while you can. Get as much of it as you can now. Save for the long term. Take it in self-custody. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. At 1776 Live on June 15th, we're starting our Bitcoin class from zero to node runner, as he says there, because it's not just the self-custody, it's running your own node. That's max privacy. from zero to Node Runner. It's going to run about 10 weeks. And if you want to check that out, go to 1776live.us, register for our Ignite presentation. You can schedule a consultation. We'd be happy to talk to you guys about it. All right. God's Army Brat 944 also says, so the 3-letter agency, the CIA, just had a scam artist employee who said he was a pilot, wasn't a pilot, said he went to a school that he didn't go to, still got hired at the CIA, to the point that they were giving him millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in gold and cash, and he was keeping some percentage of it. So she says the scam artist employee arrested is going to say, so this former intel agency that we saw on MS Now, right, is from that same agency, is going to tell you, say what you can and do with your money, although they cannot control what is done with theirs. Exactly. Yeah. The CIA can't handle what happened to 303 gold bars worth $40 million, but yet they want to be like, oh, hey, you missed a deduction on your tax returns. Speaking of missing deductions on tax returns, would it be news to you to say that the IRS is one of the weaponized agencies in government?
No.
So a lot of Democrats don't know this about the IRS, but the IRS about 15 years ago was caught in a massive scandal where they were targeting conservatives.
15 years ago, the IRS had to admit that it was targeting conservative groups for their political persuasion in its audits and its enforcement mechanisms. And conservatives really have never trusted the agency since then. I think if you ask conservatives across America, they would tell you that there's a pretty good chance that the IRS has pursued malicious audits and investigations of Donald Trump and his family. That doesn't mean there needs to be a $1.8 billion slush fund or repayment fund or anything. But I think the idea that the IRS is certainly absolutely clean in this, I'm not ready to sign.
Well, they prosecuted Hunter
years ago or 15 years ago. The IRS,
the IRS admitted it. It wasn't an allegation. It wasn't a suspicion. It wasn't news reporting. The IRS had to outright admit that they were targeting conservatives. So you just follow the rules. You file every year. You pay what you're told to pay. But you put that post on Facebook last month.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're getting audited and you're like, bad luck lottery. Nope. You were targeted.
Right. And that statement that you made, that they targeted conservatives, all you have to do to understand this is take the conservatives part off. They targeted people. They targeted institutions. They were targeting. Why were they targeting anybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And what does RFK tell us? You cannot comply your way out of authoritarianism. Mm-hmm. Once they start targeting, they will never stop. They cannot stop. It's in their blood.
Right.
It's like the frog saying to the scorpion, why did you sting me? You knew I was a scorpion when you put me on your back, right? You know what they're going to do. The writings all over the law enforcement agencies all over the country are like, yeah, Clarity Act. Now, I want the Clarity Act because I think it's going to send a lot of institutional money into crypto and Bitcoin, which is going to increase my holding size. But I'm fully aware that I'm only truly free when that Bitcoin is in self-custody. Because otherwise, I could log into my account and it could be gone tomorrow. Why? Because of this podcast. Mm-hmm. Why? Because I'm a PCO for the Republican Party. Why? Because I showed up on somebody's video doing something. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
It doesn't matter. Why? Because I'm a pastor in a church. Why? Because I'm a homeschool dad. Why? Name the list of things that you think are good about you. You're an Eagle Scout? Oh yeah, we got to get rid of those. We don't need anybody around here that can tie all the Boy Scout knots. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. You're right, Ron. They targeted.
Yep.
It wasn't random. It wasn't because they saw something specific in your tax return. They wanted to make your life a pain in the ass. That's it. And that's at the low level. You know, but wouldn't it be great if every time you were targeted, you just wrote a check for a couple $1,000 and they went away? It never ends like that, though. Once you're on their list, you're on their list. Every time I go to the airport, I have to get nervous about what might be happening. So one good thing, however, is the
well, that's because you were targeted, Taylor. I keep telling you.
One good thing about the FISA 702, what we consider illegal spying, it's Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. They did tack on an amendment on there for this iteration that's going to the president's desk that will definitively say there will not be a central bank digital currency, a CBDC. Now, we can rejoice on this one. That's excellent news. However, if The government doesn't own the CBDC, but Coinbase does. And Coinbase is regulated by the government. Is there really a difference?
No.
Yeah, it's not really. It's just getting someone else to do your dirty work.
Yeah.
Right. I realized this when I worked for the Washington State Health Department. Now, the Washington State Health Department never paid me. They never compensated for my labor, but I often had to be the bad guy that would call the health officer and they would say, that homeowner needs to do X, Y, Z. And then they would throw in a couple of added requirements that were completely subjective. And I was the one who had to go to the client and say, hey, we have to do X, Y, Z, and you should do X, Y, Z. Why? Well, because the health department wants it. So who am I advocating for? My client who pays me, or the people who have my license? Right?
The health department.
The health department, exactly.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, your uncle told me, he's like, it's a really hard day when you realize that your entire income is beholden to the health department. And you realize who those people are, aka incompetent. I'm like, yeah, I know, right? So that's the thing. It's like all they do is they create a middleman buffer. This is American socialism. If you go to Take Back My County on Rumble, you can watch the video. You can also go to takebackmycounty.com. I think we've got 5 episodes loaded up there. Gary's got a couple. We've added a few. And also politicalremodel.com. This has to change, right? This has to change. But at least we can know what the lay of the land is. The crypto world is just going to be private PDBCCs, private digital currencies, right? But they're all going to have a centralization which allows regulation and control, which is why law enforcement's going to love it. And you know what? To the extent that it prevents drug dealing and human trafficking, our lives could all be made better, right? But to the extent that the government does what the government does and it targets you through one of these institutions, you're going to be really happy you took that 1776live.us course on Bitcoin and you learned not only how to buy Bitcoin, but how to take self-custody, how to recover your Bitcoin. Say if your house burns down and you've got to recover your wallet from scratch, and running a node to maximize your privacy and be an actual participant in the network. And then on top of that, you can spread the love and share it with other people so that we can create circular economies. Where I can go to, Tom, the instructor of this course, he talks about, he's got a farmer that lives north of him in Colorado, and he drives 45 minutes to the farm and he buys a beef every year with Bitcoin.
Okay.
Farm to farm direct. Standing out in the farmer's field, he'll transfer some Bitcoin to him and drive home with his quarter of cattle. And guess what? That's commerce that is outside the regulatory apparatus of the FDA, USDA, whatever. So he can buy organic, grass-fed, loved Angus cattle, right? Without it having to be treated, GMO'd, vaccinated, et cetera, et cetera. This is the future, right? This is the future for those of us that are willing to walk through that door. So CBDC is off the table.
I'm of the belief that Senate negotiators in consultation here with the House, that we're going to reach a resolution if additional reforms are required. But at the same time, making sure that we do not see this program lapse. It's an absolutely essential program. President Trump has spoken about the importance of making sure we move this through. And I'm hopeful instead of having a short-term extension, we get a true medium or long-term extension. 18 months to 5 years would be essential to make sure that our foreign intelligence agencies can actually be out there doing the hard work of keeping the United States of America safe. I'm of the belief that Senator...
Later in that clip, he says, and we also included a ban on CBDCs. And of course, he didn't say that on that clip. But that is important, right? So FISA is going to continue, but at least there's a CBDC ban, which is good. And here's the reason why. At least in American socialism, we have the illusion of choice, right? I can delete my Facebook account. I can delete my X account. I can delete these different accounts. I can go to where there's freedom. I can go to Gab. I can go to Telegram. I can go to other apps that allow me to circumvent censorship and things like that. And as long as the foot of repression sits on our throat, we will constantly try to find and develop those outs. And that is something that is just human nature. Inside every person is the desire to be free, right? How you channel that energy can lead to a desire to make everybody free in a utopic world, which is just collectivism, right? Or you can take control over your own life and your own decisions, and you can do the right thing. Did you know that Cuba is not run by the Cuban government, but it's run by their military?
What?
Yeah. So Marco Rubio explained this to Tim Scott. This was kind of one of those interesting things where it was like, oh, that makes sense.
I mean,
Cuba's a very different thing. Yeah. I mean, I think the misnomer about Cuba or the misunderstanding about Cuba's actually not controlled by the government. Cuba's controlled by a military holding company named Gaesa. And Gaesa virtually owns anything. They own the tourist sector. They own mining. They own the gas stations. They own everything. They generate about 70% of Cuba's GDP is under the control of this military company. And they're sitting on between 14 and $17 billion in assets. So you have people literally starving, people literally like power grid that hasn't been maintained in 10 years. And yet you have this holding military company sitting on these assets. And by the way, not a penny of the money in the military holding company translates over to the public treasury. So the fundamental challenge we have here is that Cuba needs to be, in order for it not to continue to be a failed state, which poses a threat to the United States, they need systemic and serious reform. They need to have economic reforms. And the question is, can they possibly reform given the people who are currently in charge, both of Gaesa and of their government? And I think the answer is they can. I really don't believe this system is capable of reform unless new people take over.
So what did you hear?
I heard that there's going to be regime change in Cuba this year.
I heard Cuba only costs $10 to $20 billion.
Cheap. We could have bought 2 Cubas for what we spent in Ukraine. Yeah. That's crazy. That's really interesting. That's funny. Yep, absolutely. So I just thought that was interesting, Ron. I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump over to private now. I want to rack up my private hours before I hit the road this weekend. Next week, I'll be heading to Wisconsin. If you're anywhere within striking distance of Wisconsin, Spring Green area, we are going to be doing a Stop Starting Over event out there. I'm going to be flying out there on Friday, doing the event on Saturday, and then I'm flying down to Florida to see my daughter.
Cool.
Take her car, drive it back across the country. So next week, we're going to be a little bit touch and go on our shows. We'll see how that's all going to work out. I do have Starlink Mobile that's going with me, Ron. So bright and early, if you could be in here, maybe we'll do it remote and practice that. We got to get good at doing it remote because, sometimes the occasion calls. We want the show to grow and it needs to be consistent day after day. Otherwise, how would these 12 people that are listening to us right now, what would they do with their mornings?
I know.
You guys, we put so much energy for you guys. You have no idea the amount of energy that we put into the show for you.
Well, we know how important it is to you guys to survive. You guys need the show.
Yeah. The feedback I get is so positive that it's really encouraging to keep going. Right. But yeah, guys, share the show, spread the love. Let's jump it up a little bit. When you do the little ads, Ron, and I see it, like if we had 100 listeners, we'd make $20. It's, we could do 3 of those ads a day and we'd be good. We could go out to breakfast at Denny's afterwards.
That's right.
Every day. Instead, we're over here like intermittent fasting because cheaper. Life is cheaper that way. Okay, so please share the show, spread the love. We love it. And of course, if you're a Rumble Premium subscriber, you can join us in private, which we're going to go to right now. So the rest of you, we'll talk to you tomorrow. And if you do want to listen to private and you don't want to subscribe to Rumble, if you download the audio off any of the audio apps, then you can actually get the private in there as well. So you can
that's the cheat code.
That's the cheat code. Please go download all the episodes. I really want to juice the audio numbers. They've been doing okay, but they could do better, of course. All right. We'll talk to you guys